For the most part, a lot of you guys don't even need to adjust whether you're, just, how much you're paying, or whether or not you're even running ads at certain times of the day versus others, or certain days of the week versus others, or during holidays even, because you have smart bidding set up. And for the most part, that's going to take into account everything that you need to as far as when you should be, running your ads and for what amount you should be paying for each time of the day. That said, there's certainly some times where you want to make some adjustments. What this video serves to do is tell you when you shouldn't be using or doing any adjustments, because you're actually going to lose money making those adjustments to your account. So I'll let you know basically if you should be making the adjustments, how much you should be making the adjustments, and where you shouldn't, more importantly, not be making any adjustments if you don't want to lose money in your advertising, with your advertising budget, and lose some of the ROI that you're getting from Google Ads. So with that said, I'll get into the content. We have a number of different clients at our ad agency that want to run their ads during only business hours, particularly obviously if you're generating leads, but even for say e-commerce businesses that can't answer the phone during weekends, nights, whatever, or holidays. And what I'm telling you here, and the main point of this video is, it's always going to make you less money to shut off your ads during non-business hours or what have you, for the most part, because of the varying market rates for traffic at different times of the day and different days of the week, and holiday versus non-holiday, which makes shutting off your ads completely during these other times is stupid. So 99% of the time, you don't want to ever just shut your ads off during certain times of the day, days of the week, or during holidays. Regardless of how much less money and how much less the traffic converts at certain times of the day or day of the week, or during the holiday versus non-holiday, that traffic is never going to be worth completely zero. And therefore, shutting it off completely is basically idiotic, okay? So what I mean by this is, if I gave you 1 million free clicks to your site every Christmas Eve for free, you would take it, right? Okay, yes, right, you would take it. So why is it that you're going to shut your ads off on Christmas Eve when you can just simply tell Google, I'm willing to pay 1 penny per click. If you'll give me the clicks, I'll take them. In other words, what I'm trying to get across here is there's some value of the traffic regardless of when it comes in. Okay? Why say that you'll pay nothing for the clicks when those clicks obviously have some value? They're not totally worthless. The question is how much they're worth. And figuring out how much they're worth and being willing to pay that, because at least you get some clicks and some value out of those times of the day, days of the week, versus no value whatsoever because you were so obtuse about what you're doing and just said no clicks during that time of the day. And the reality is, like I said before, the amount that, because Google is ultimately still a bidding system. There's certain rates that the market that you're in and your competitors are willing to pay for traffic for a weekend versus non-weekend, day versus night, and generally speaking, during non-business hours, since we were talking about that before, most people that are in your niche don't want to run their ads during non-business hours if you're generating leads. I'll talk about e-commerce in a second, but for the most part, not during business hours is when most people don't want to run their ads. And so what happens is the demand for clicks outside of normal business hours for let's say a pest control business that you might be in, cost for a click during non-business hours might be half of what it is during regular business hours. So while you might want to not run your ads during non-business hours because you can't answer the phone, those clicks are half price than what they are during regular business hours. And with most people not being able to also answer their phone at night, and these people who call at night can't do business with anybody, so they're going to call. They're going to try to call maybe 2 other places. They don't end up talking to anybody. The next day at 9 a.m., you have your staff trained to pick up the phone, call anybody that called since you closed yesterday, and have a decent chance of getting that business because they couldn't go with anybody anyway. And you got the lead for half the cost than you would have got, paid for it during regular business hours. To not, be willing to pay for those clicks during non-business hours, you're throwing half of your literal money away, given half of the clicks come during non-business hours and half of them come during business hours, if you follow what I'm trying to get across here. So your job as an advertiser, and for somebody who wants to get the maximum value out of Google Ads, is to find out what the value is of clicks during one time of the day or one day of the week over another, or during holidays versus non-holiday hours, so that you can extract the maximum amount of clicks in your market, but without overpaying for a click when it's not profitable. If you're generating leads, okay, on top of the traffic costing a different amount per during the daytime versus nighttime, weekend versus non-weekend, all that, the leads themselves are going to convert at a different rate from one time of the day versus another time of the day, and so forth. So before you make any decisions as to traffic during the weekend, it never converts or what have you, why not actually measure the leads that you're generating, what they convert at on the weekends versus not a weekend, and so forth? Because you might be surprised. If you're generating leads using something called offline conversion tracking, you can actually figure out what that lead that comes in during the weekend converts into a sale at, versus the lead that comes in during regular business hours, what that lead converts at. And then with that information, identify then what you should be paying for a lead during the weekend versus a lead during business hours. And then getting the maximum clicks and leads you can from Google Ads, but without overpaying to where your ROI is not what you want it to be. So whereas the traffic, in other words, is going to be a different price on weekends versus nights, or holidays versus non-holidays, the leads that you get are going to convert at a different average rate based upon each night versus non-night, or weekend versus non-weekend. And just don't make your decision on what a lead costs during the certain different times. Make your decision based upon what rate the leads convert at for each nights versus weekends or what have you. And that's how you get the maximum leads and the maximum profit from your Google Ads, given you're going to basically be in position now to pay the maximum amount for the clicks that you can, but not doing it just on an overall basis, but where on the weekends where there's less demand for the traffic, you can understand exactly what that traffic's worth, and you pay the maximum amount per click essentially for what that traffic is specifically worth versus during business hours. What you'll find when nobody else doesn't want weekend traffic, you'll get 3 times the click-through rate that you normally would get during regular business hours on weekends, because nobody's really trying to compete as much for that weekend traffic. But because you physically did the tracking the way that I told you, and you saw how many of those leads you get turned into a sale, and what the value of a lead is on the weekends precisely, you're comfortable with spending essentially 80% of what you'd pay for a click during regular business hours, because it doesn't convert, the leads you get doesn't convert that differently. So it's not that hard to figure out what a lead converts at, so you can make intelligent decisions about what you should be paying for the traffic during different times of the week, and during holidays versus non-holidays, and so on and so forth. If you've been running ads already, by the way, too, and you have the thought that you're not going to run ads during regular business hours, or you're going to pay less for traffic during midnight to 9 a.m. or whatever, automatically assume the longer you've been running ads, which means the more of your results are predicated on all the past data you've collected in your account, because Google's ad system is heavily predicated on machine learning and past data the more results you're going to actually lose by just arbitrarily shutting off nights or weekends or holidays or whatever. Because going back to the concepts that I was just trying to convey earlier, there's a certain value of traffic at 2 a.m. It may not be very much, but so the rates are so lower for that 2 a.m. traffic as well, and the algorithm just figured out how to make value of it for you. And unless you're using straight manual bidding with no enhanced CPC bidding, which then it wouldn't be the case, but if you're using anything else besides that, Google understands how to provide a lead at the cost per lead you want at 2 a.m. So shutting it off, you're just shutting off part of the leads that you were getting on a regular basis, and you're not going to get them anymore. And like I said, and if you assume that the leads that come in at 2 a.m. are worthless, why don't you really find out for yourself what a lead converts at 2 a.m. before you shut it off? Because once it's shut off, that part of your revenue that your Google Ads account's producing is now gone forever. Which, even if that's 10% of your revenue, then you lost 10% of your revenue forever. So don't just wing what you're doing in terms of deciding when your ads run, because that's really, really short-sighted and just basically idiotic doing that, when really, with the power of tracking, that you could literally track anything you want with Google Ads if you just put your mind to it and follow the processes of tracking leads all the way to a sale or whatnot. You don't have to guess. If you're using smart bidding, for the most part, you don't need to also set different bids for the different times of the day or day of the week, even though I would recommend it to some degree anyway, even if you are using smart bidding. If you're using manual bidding, you certainly want to do what they call bid modification or add bid adjustments to different times of the day, day of the week. What I usually do for that is I'll set a unique bid for midnight to 9 a.m., 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 5 p.m. to midnight. And I'll do that for each day of the week. So Monday, we'll get a unique bid for all Mondays, midnight to 9 a.m., 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 5 p.m. to midnight. Tuesday, it's the same thing. I'll set a unique bid for midnight to 9 a.m., 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and so forth. So that each day of the week gets 3 different bids, depending on what try bracket of the day that we're actually in. So I'll do that, but also even with smart bidding turned on, this is speculative or controversial, but a lot of people say if you do bid adjustments on the different times of the day when you have smart bidding on, it doesn't do anything, and it absolutely does still do something. My argument always is, well, if it doesn't do anything, then why does Google let you do it? You'll notice when you turn smart bidding on, it says, do you want to remove the bid adjustments on the device menu? If the bid adjustments that you have on the device menu didn't affect how much traffic you're buying from each device when smart bidding was turned on, then they wouldn't ask you that. So for extra results, you go ahead and you got to obviously have enough traffic to do it, but once you have your day parting set up, your schedule set up the way that I was explaining it before, where each time of the day has it broken out, later on you could go back and you can see how much Mondays in the morning convert versus afternoons Monday convert, nights Monday convert, and then you could take that compared to the average ROI that your account gets, and you can decide how much precisely you should go up and down in bid. Or you can also go the direction of you're not getting the ROI that you want. You can decide how much the bid should be changed for that specific time of the day and day of the week to get you the ROI that you want, so that you're paying the right amount for what the traffic's worth for that time of the day, so that you get the ROI that you want from that time of the day. I recommend doing that regardless of you having smart bidding or not having smart bidding turned on. But with all that said, for the most part, just so that you know, the only time it would turn off running your ads at all, like just straight turn it off instead of doing a bid adjustment like I just explained, where you're not shutting it off, you're just figuring out what the value is. Even if you don't think it's going to work, you look at and actually find the value and then tell Google, the traffic's not worth much. I'll pay this they won't give you as much traffic because you won't be able to be now you'll be outbid by your competitors and more than you were before for that time of the day and day of the week. But at least you'll get some trickle of traffic and some trickle of sales, whereas you could have got more sales, but the ROI wouldn't have been there if you were to be bidding more for that time of the day and day of the week. For e-commerce businesses, where we've had situations where we just straight up shut it off for the most part, unless it was at certain times of the day or days of the week, is where we were in like an e-commerce space, and this is rare, this would actually come up, but if talking to the customer increases the likelihood of a purchase so much that the chances that somebody's going to buy is like 100x if you have a conversation with them over the phone versus not, that would be a situation. And in addition to that, not really having a very big budget to where all your campaigns are limited by budget as per what Google is saying, meaning you could spend a lot more. In that situation, I would just shut off any hours that I wasn't able to answer the phone. Why spend your money and spread it all out for all times of the day, all days of the week, when I could just have the ads running at the times I can answer the phone, knowing when I talk to them, they're going to convert at an astronomically higher rate than if I don't talk to them, at least until I've extracted, I can't spend any more during the hours where I answer the phone, so to say. I'm only going to invest my ad budget on hours that I can answer the phone. This goes along with what I say in general on other videos on how you should operate and decide to invest into Google Ads for your business. That is, when you start out, you go after the stuff that's the most logical stuff to work the best, the easiest first. Instead of going after a million keywords, pick the keywords that are the most descriptive, most likely to convert, i.e. if you're targeting pest control like I was talking about before, instead of targeting pest control as a keyword, target pest control near me. Why? Because that term is people that search that keyword as a whole are more likely to buy than pest control, which some of the people that type in pest control are just wondering what the hell it is. So if you only have so much budget, why go after both of those when you can go after just the ones that most of your money is going to be used to get in front of somebody who's actually going to be making a purchase in the near future. So that is just a parallel kind of antidote as to what I was just talking about with only running your ads when you can answer the phone for like an e-commerce business, when you only have so much money to spend and you're already not maxing out the opportunities you have. You're just going after the highest likely to convert, highest ROI producing activities until you've extracted all the value out of that, and you need to scale. And then, of course, you can't scale anymore inside the hours that you can't answer the phone in that case. Then you start running your ads outside of hours you can't answer the phone. And then you go back to like what I was saying before, where you just see like what hours outside of your regular business hours where you can't answer the phone converts at, and then decide what you can afford to pay per click during those hours outside of what you can answer the phone, and then get some value from those hours, even though the value is not nearly as great. At least you're not throwing the few opportunities you could get at the ROI that you find acceptable. So that is pretty much how the ad schedule can affect your results. How you'll lose a bunch of money just by shutting off certain hours when you could just bid less and figure out what the traffic's actually worth, and then bidding less but still getting sales. Yes, it's easy to just shut off your ads during outside business hours, but a lot of cases you can make just as much money during off hours as you can during on hours. So do you want to throw half of your profit away from Google Ads that you can get just because you don't want to simply figure out what the traffic is worth, even if you can't answer the phone during that time? That's how much money you could potentially, we're talking about, losing if you just simply shut off certain times of the day you can't answer the phone, for instance. So I wanted to actually point that out and make that very clear in this video. and making money with Google Ads is about nuance. Figuring out what certain things are worth, and then telling Google what you're willing to pay for those things. Traffic during certain times of the day, paying one amount for a keyword versus another amount, paying one amount for people that are rich versus poor, and effectively, it's not a matter of if Google Ads will work, it's just a matter of how much and where. If you've got enough data that tells you what worked and didn't work in your account, there's going to be part of the account that gets you the ROI that you want. The question is, it's just how much ROI, how much profit at the ROI that you want is there. And you get more overall profit at the ROI you want, the more you break down what you're doing into separate parts. There's a good chance that you won't make any money if you spend the same amount for Monday versus Tuesday versus Wednesday than if you were to figure out what Monday's worth versus Tuesday and Wednesday's worth. So all you have to do to make money on Google Ads is just have really good tracking set up, spend your money, and then be ruthless about what you're willing to pay for certain aspects of what you've already paid for based upon what value it's delivered. The only problem with it is, if there is one, the only fly in the ointment is, you need a lot of data to know definitively, with great certainty, what certain things are worth over another. And that's where the barrier of entry is and exists from one person who's going to make millions with Google Ads versus not. Do you have enough money to gather the required data up front that tells you what's working, what's not working, so that you can get over the other side of profitability with your starting investment? Once you have, it's all just a downhill slide, and what you have makes more and more and more money over time, because you find out more and more and more about the true value of things, and then what's worth doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on. And when your competition starting out doesn't have the information about what's 10 times more profitable than other parts of your account, then they waste their money on stuff that's just not as profitable, and you know exactly where to put your money. And it's the gap of informational awareness that makes the people that are making millions keep making millions, and the people that are just starting out that 90% never even make any money at all and just give up within the first few months. What's the difference between them? So with that said, I'll wrap it up with that though. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. It was valuable to you. If you liked the video though, I'd appreciate it if you could give back and give the video a like, and consider subscribing, as I have a ton of other content on this channel about how to make money with ads. If you want to know truly how to make millions of dollars with ads in your company, this is the channel you want to pay attention to, as it's coming from somebody who just does ad strategy all day long on Google, Facebook, and so forth, and guarantee results for our clients, which we're the only firm in the world that actually does that. And so you should subscribe to this channel. It's the best information you're going to find online on how to make money with ads. It's not just pure speculation. With that said, if you like my channel, you'll also love my blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog, as well as you can follow me on my column at entrepreneur.com. If you have any questions about anything I covered today, or any other ad-related question, leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a couple days. I'd love to be able to give back to my viewers of my channel, just as a way of saying thanks. If you are looking for an ad manager to help you get fantastic results with your ads, and there's a lot of potential with what you're doing, I'd love to hear from you at my agency at guaranteeppc.com. I'll give you a free analysis of what you're doing and let you know how much sales results we can get for your campaigns. We do not charge our clients fees until we increase your sales enough to justify the fees that we charge. And the only catch is you got to have something great there to work with that has a lot of potential. But if so, we're happy to put our money where our mouth is and get you some results up front to prove we know what we're talking about here. So if you're interested in that, reach out to me. I'll give you a free analysis and see if we can potentially work together. If you don't want an ad agency to work and give you the results on autopilot like we do here for clients, we also offer campaign ad templates that you can use to literally use to copy and paste success and campaigns that work into your ad account and related results. We've worked in over 100 markets at this particular point in time, of which chances are we've worked in your market, and if so, we can tell you what results we can get in your market using our templates before you would ever purchase those templates from us, and of which we charge a one-time fee for. The time and money you're going to have to spend to get the results we've built up over years in your market is going to be absolutely minuscule to nothing compared to what we're charging for these templates. And the templates work so good that we got people starting side businesses just with the templates, selling leads, starting side e-commerce businesses even. So if you want an opportunity to make some money, some almost passive income money on the side, selling leads and the like, or selling printer toner, stuff like that anybody can get their hands on to sell, reach out to me. I'll let you know what we have in terms of different markets we've worked in, what results we've seen in those markets. But if you're interested in that, you can also reach out to my firm at guaranteedppc.com. I'll wrap it up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you on my next video where we have another great strategy for you then. See you later.